So we have the team together, we're marketing. During the interview, typically in most of our sectors, the questions of budget, schedule, understanding square footage.
And we don't care about those things.
You don't care about any of those things during the interview. That's awesome. Okay, we can move on to the next question now.
Right.
So, in all seriousness, you have normally a group of diverse people sitting on a church building committee. How do you explain those things during the interview process? Do you explain them during the interview process, or is it later down the field of the importance of planning this out so you have the funding? How do you go about explaining that to?
That's right. Yeah, one thing we often will say to a client during the interview is that we look at the budget early and often. And it's very true. And when we first started working with them, we're already beginning to look at, in a very rough framework, what is the magnitude of cost that they're looking at if they're looking for, say, 1,000-seat worship center, whatever it might be. We've done enough of this that we know the kind of ballpark they're talking about before they've even considered it. And so we often in the interview process will talk about how do we do that, as in using interactive spreadsheets that we have developed over the years, so that from an early master plan stage we can say, if you've got a worship center of 1,000 seats, that means that you've got children's education for about 200 children, and on down the line you need this much parking, you need this much support space. So from the very start we can talk about our knowledge base, how that can help us. And we typically will show them the kind of interactive Excel spreadsheet that we use with that information. So the thing that we like about it is that with that spreadsheet, we're able to change, say, one number, and it changes the bottom line. So they can see that if, let's say, if they really wanted to be at 1,200 seats, how does that hit the bottom line versus 1,000 seats? And so even in the interview, we talk that through. Typically in the master planning or early visioning sessions, we'll begin to use those tools. And so they really begin to understand quickly the impact of the size of what they're looking for and the bottom line price that they're having to support.
And then again, it comes down to the expertise that like we bring to the table of that knowledge, of the experience, the staff, the data that we have of doing these projects. Because it always comes up, whether it's, what's your fee, how are we going to be able to stay in budget? I mean, it's part of that case study, and going back to that original question of just project successes. I mean, making sure they know why we're here. It's for it's for this project success that hopefully they come back to us. It's not to glorify our firm. It's really their ministry. And I think as long as they understand the truthfulness of that, I think it goes pretty far, just to getting the understanding of, we know what we're doing. We can bring you what you want, just making sure we set expectations.